What to do? Medicine does not offer anything. It simply cannot do anything. Here we need a completely different approach. What approach? Well, what offers a new direction? But it's not very new, but we just raised it to a significantly higher level. This is wave genetics or linguistic-wave genetics, which was initiated by Gurevich in the 20s of the last century. But since this is a very complex thing, the development here is very slow, but a lot can be said about this. I will say very briefly that the essence of what Gurevich brilliantly expressed in the last century is that our genetic apparatus, our chromosomes, where we all come from, has a wave or quantum equivalent. So this is our chromosomes, our DNA molecule, where information about us is recorded. And at the same time, there is another plan, which is such a quantum reflection, a wave reflection of what is recorded in our genetic apparatus, in DNA. Simply speaking, we can compare our genetic apparatus of DNA with a book. If you have read this book, then you no longer need this book. It is in your head. This information is mental, that is, it cannot be felt. But this is how our chromosomes work, on two levels, on the material and on the wave, on the mental, on the quantum. And the management of this level is actually the main one. If you understand these wave languages of human chromosomes, then you control the chromosomes themselves. So, if you control our hereditary apparatus, then, consequently, you can introduce such a program there so that we do not live for 60, 70 years, as it is now happening in our country and in general all over the world, but we would live as the elders, Noah and his sons, others, that is, thousands of years and even more. Theoretically, there are no prohibition on an indefinitely long lifetime. And what is this program? This is exactly what we are working on. What does it have to do with what? It is, of course, related to the fact that in order for people to live so long, their bodies must be healthy. And for this, old, worn-out human organs and tissues must be replaced. This is the basis of rejuvenation and inhibition of aging. Let's replace the old heart with a new heart, or old kidneys with new kidneys, or lungs, blood vessels. Everything can be replaced, in principle, using this technology of linguistic-wave genetics. In another way, it is called regenerative medicine. But this medicine cannot offer us anything now, but rather even suppresses this direction of ours, and for many reasons. But in fact, despite the fact that the most complex processes are taking place there, which I will not talk about now, in fact, it is very simple in its core. That is, we must master the quantum languages of our genetic apparatus, which we have now, in general, already done. And we have managed to carry out such things as DNA translation at a distance, gene translation, in a way theoretically over any distance. For example, in Toronto, we managed to do it for 20 kilometers. It was possible for 100 and 200 kilometers or 1,000, but our task was to show that it is possible to transmit genetic information in a wave way for at least 20 kilometers. We did it, and in doing so, we grew a new animal pancreas. We started with animals, and then we continued those experiments that are already 10 years old. Now we have come a long way. In the West, they are trying to work in this direction. For example, Yamanaka in Japan last year received a Nobel Prize only for the fact that he turned skin cells into so-called stem cells. Stem cells are in each of us, in any organ and tissue, and from such stem cells, you can grow anything you want, only if you know how. Leg, arm, kidneys, liver, heart, pancreas, blood vessels, intestines, and so on and so on. Whatever you want. These are the possibilities of stem cells, but you need to learn how to talk to them. It is necessary to speak in their own language, that is, in the language of the genetic apparatus. Here we have mastered such a language a little, and this is laser technology. It's not some esoteric stuff, it's rigorous laser technology based on quantum physics and quantum understanding of how the genetic apparatus works. That is, we have now achieved what we can. For example, when a person dies, he has a stroke or hemorrhage in the brain. One of our employees died this way. She then became our employee, and before that she lived in Ireland, and she, like many people, had a stroke. And she was paralyzed and dying. And we find information and we record this information in a certain way, just on a flash drive in MP3 format or in another format. It doesn't matter. That is, we have translated the genetic language into simple sounds. Although these sounds are not simple, they carry genetic information, and a special one. I will not talk about this because this is an interesting conversation for specialists, but ordinary people who listen and watch us would simply be interested to know that such information about themselves can be obtained, recorded on a USB flash drive and demonstrated to themselves. But it should be information devoid of those pathologies that a person develops with age, without diseases information. This is information that allows you to regenerate, for example, parts of the brain, like this woman who is now our employee. She had a cerebral hemorrhage, her brain was affected, she was paralyzed and dying. But we have given her information about herself in the form of a simple MP3 or wave recording. But there is some information in this sound that we show. I can tell you a little more, so that you do not think that everything is so simple. This is the so-called spin information, which originates from photons and changes its polarization, because we use laser technologies and correspondingly forcing photons to polarize. We model them according to spin states, then we translate all this into sound and let a person listen to 3 matrices in the form of sound and in the form of video images. And the person is restored. This woman, and not only her, I'm just giving a very vivid example because she got up literally 4 days later, and the doctors of the clinic where she was lying were shocked because this could not be. It's impossible that a person who has a hemorrhage in the brain and the brain are affected, the tomogram shows an extensive hemorrhage. That is, the brain is affected in its key certain functions. She is paralyzed and dies, and suddenly after about 5 days she gets to her feet completely healthy. Of course, this is perceived as a miracle, but in fact, about 30 years of our research is behind this miracle. Peter Garyaev maintained creative and friendly relations with Natalia Rodina, being the researchers of human nature. Natalia Rodina is a scientist, academician, psychologist and parapsychologist, and a researcher who has been studying the possibilities of human consciousness and the subtle energies of space for more than 20 years, and teaching students from all over the world unique methods. I want to share with you the methods of developing consciousness and controlling reality. They reveal the nature of the Creator in you, and this is your energy nature, your superconsciousness, the higher self, and the creative power of the Creator. By revealing this hidden power, you discover new superpowers in yourself to completely control the events of your life, your health, and your inner state. These abilities will allow you to transform fears and anxieties into calmness and harmony, chaos into control over life events, obstacles into opportunities, and unconscious state of life into awareness and a complete understanding of all life processes. You will understand your purpose and your path in this life and open up new opportunities for creating your new life reality. Sign up for the online course and start practicing.